multiple sclerosis looks a lot like swine fever, which you get in pigs, and that's been traced back to a deficiency in cobalt. Cobalt is one of the elements that is chelated by glyphosate. Multiple sclerosis is caused, they believe, by a lack of cholesterol, which helps to form the myelin sheaths, which influences the message switching in the nerves in the brain. So there seems also to be a tie-up here, which needs to be investigated, I think. Alzheimer's disease is the result of a very large number of different problems, all of which could be linked or can be linked to glyphosate. One of them is the effect of ammonia in the brain. Another one is the myelin sheaths, the message switching in the brain. Again, this is connected with the cholesterol or lack of cholesterol. And of course, cholesterol and sulfur are very, very closely related. In the absence of sulfur, cells don't have the ability to utilize glucose. And glucose deficiency, of course, means that there's not enough energy and the cells start dying. And this is what happens, of course, in Alzheimer's. All these problems can be linked to glyphosate. Now, Parkinson's disease is associated with a dopamine deficiency. Again, you have the glyphosate link. The amino acids are just not there.
Again, we see a very strong correlation between the incidence of Alzheimer's disease and senile dementia with the sales of Roundup. Surely this is a correlation that needs to be fully investigated.
Bowel inflammation and leaky gut syndrome is caused when the cell walls actually shrink and substances can pass through. And those substances include things like formaldehyde and glyphosate and all sorts of different toxins. And that allows them free rein into the body to go and do whatever damage they can in the liver, in the stomach, in the brain, in the cells. And these are the sorts of things that are causing the problems that we're experiencing.
We've covered an awful lot of information, and a lot of that information is counterintuitive to what mainstream authorities would have it so.
Unfortunately, it is.
Now, I used to work in the research environment in the mining industry, and in that environment, we had many schools of thought overturned. This is what happens. One school of thought comes along, they bring in a technology, and another school of thought will step in, and a different school of technology. We're now looking at our health and our food chain. Now, there's no question that Roundup and the glyphosate in Roundup kills plants, and that's what it's for. But now it's coming to light that by using this pesticide, that we are affecting our health in a cumulative sense.
Not only our health, but our environment as well. So that affects the health of the generations that follow.
Everything. And so now you've got some work here that's independent research, 118 papers, research papers, sourced from the US National Library of Medicine, all of which support the growing concern over the use of glyphosate and these outcomes that we've discussed. Topics of research include things like DNA changes, endocrine disruption, brain and nerve damage, liver damage, lipomia, adverse pharmacological reactions, alterations in the levels of testosterone, problems with human reproduction and fetal development. What really hits home to me is how low the levels we're talking about. 0.5 parts per million is all that's required to cause all of these things. And not just to one person, but in a genetic sense, alter their genetics. What do they pass on to their kids? So in a cumulative sense, it's not just us we're building up over time, but our environment as well, which impacts our ability to grow food in the future and be healthy in the future. And this has a knock-on effect.
That's right. Yes.
So what do you suggest is a way forward to fix this? How would you suggest we go forward?
It's very difficult, and I think when people really wake up to the fact that we are literally poisoning ourselves and our environment, they're going to get very scared, and with good reason. I don't know really that we can carry on doing things the way we've done. My job in the last 15, 18 years has been to teach people how to grow without poisons. We don't use anything here on Castellan at all that could be thought of as detrimental to the environment in any way. We've proven that we can support quite a large number of people in a very, very small area of land. We pick every week, and we have a little shop here that we sell to the locals and anybody who comes past. We supply a consumer-supported agricultural system in Brisbane every week, and we have done that for the last 8 or 9 years. This isn't to say this is easy. It's not. And people who want to make the change are going to find they're facing an uphill battle because the damage that's been done is huge. In order to get soil back into high levels of productivity, they have got to spend money, they have got to spend a lot of time, and they're not going to have too much to show for their work for a year or two. But it can be done, and I know that because we've done it here. We've taken land which was very badly degraded because it's been used for dairy without any input into the soil, and we have turned it around. We have got the most amazing production here, and we have done that for 17 years, and we only use a very, very small area of land. Russia has proved it's possible. They produce something like 90% of the land, of the food that is eaten in Russia by the people of Russia on very, very small farms or dashes they're called, which people spend the weekends in or their holidays. They produce all the fresh food that they need in those little tiny areas of land. We have to look at what they're doing, and we maybe have to follow that sort of activity. But the problem is that people haven't got the knowledge, they don't know where to start, they don't know what to do, and they need to start learning and start making the effort to find out if they're concerned about their health and the health of their children. They have to learn to grow their own Obviously, food. The first thing you have to do is to stop using any industrial herbicide, pesticide. Roundup we have discussed, but in fact the problem is not restricted to Roundup. It concerns all the herbicides and pesticides that are being used commercially and in gardens. Second thing is to buy organic food whenever possible.
Organic food is actually considerably more expensive than the industrial agricultural products that are grown at mass scales. How would people justify spending the extra money to go organic?
They're going to spend the money anyway. They're either going to spend it on staying healthy or they're going to spend it on being sick.
This video has contained a lot of information which is quite challenging, counterintuitive to what we have been told by various authorities and institutions that we trust. For example, our governments, our research institutions, the media. I would urge everyone to check this out for themselves, do the research, make informed decisions from a position of strength as opposed to ignorance. I would suggest that we have to reassess and re-establish the trust in those institutions. If this information is so readily available, and it is actually quite clear, professionally I'm a data analyst and I look at this information and it's quite clear. The very fact that we're in this situation and the information that we have discussed in this video is very difficult to get out, I would suggest we're looking at a social change as well as a technical change in how we actually manage our agriculture.
Yeah.
The way society is geared at the moment, when you spend money purchasing products, you're actually making a statement about what businesses you would like to function. and the ones you don't want to function. I would urge you that once you understand the validity of this information, that you make the choice. You buy organic, and you use organic, and you don't use herbicides, and you don't use pesticides, not just from an ethical point of view and a decision-making point of view of what you do on your own property, but also from a financial point of view. And once the ball starts rolling, all sorts of things can happen.